normal way we always do.
Live
things.
TikTok.
Yeah, if you want, I can just go live on your phone right now, and we just kind of just run through the podcast, and I'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
We could just say we're just
When
doing
it,
a test.
yeah, exactly. So TikTok, we need to be on the Pen Podcast. Let me see where I'm at. No, I don't want you to do that. Uh-oh. Oh, I used to be able to switch between. I'm not able to now. What the heck? Wow, bro. It never ends, the problems, dude.
Yeah.
Unreal. Yeah, I used to be able to switch easily. Now I don't know what to do. I guess I gotta log out. Yeah, you used to be able to just switch. You can't now.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, you can't now. So how do I log out?
What the fuck?
Yeah, not there.
What the fuck?
It never ends, bro. The problems never fucking end, dude. It's so old. All right, so there's the Pen Podcast right there. I don't want to follow.
Oh, it
just disappeared on your.
Yeah. Oh, it came back. Yeah, look.
Hang on, I'll empty. Let's restart the app. Oh, dude. Okay, no, maybe it was glitching. It was just glitching. Yeah, I have me concerned because I don't even know. I would have had to figure out how to log out. We would have went through that whole process. Okay, I'm in now. All right, comment code will hook you instantly. Code will hook you instantly. No, it won't. Jesus, people say dumb things. God damn it. Come on. Come on. Okay, so, all right, we're in. Here we go. And then we got to go to like something, I don't know. Go to the, what is it, multi-guest.
Yeah, you can just go ahead and start while I'm setting this up.
Okay, what are we doing? All right.
So this one is the UK censorship.
All right, everyone, we are back again with the Pen Podcast. I'm Louis Dorian, formerly Worthington Calhoun. I had a pretty interesting week. A couple of pertinent issues coming up this week around two things. Scams are getting really wild with AI. And I am noticing there are entire Chinese companies, I don't know how large these companies are, that are targeting U.S. citizens with AI and actors and people who are even willing to FaceTime. It's hilarious. In the dating side of things, we're seeing these profiles going up, and then these Chinese women are managing these profiles, and they're even willing to FaceTime. It's really funny because one was like a German girl. She's like blonde hair, blue-eyed German girl, apparently claimed to own a fitness company. Did a FaceTime with her, and she's a Chinese girl who dyed her hair blonde, didn't have blue eyes, and sat there and literally tried to act like she was the same person in the profile. It's really odd. And then there was a couple others. There's something going on with this Bitcoin scam stuff, Bitcoin investing, really getting weird, guys. So yeah, that's something that's going on. I'll go into deeper kind of discussions around the scamming stuff that we're seeing. Definitely seeing it with psychedelics and with the psychedelics products world out there. People just getting scammed left and right. And then the other side of this, I'm seeing something that I'm going to be discussing at length about the sociological nature of human beings and what has happened to families and some of the misguided ideas out there around how we should treat people and what we should do. My family, over the course of probably 150 years or so, spread themselves out thin all the way from Europe and kind of what would you call it? Kind of Eastern Bloc countries, Slovenian, Slovakian, Serbian area, those areas, and then also French and maybe a bit of German. They all emigrated to the United States, leaving behind family members. Then in the United States from the East Coast, they migrated to the West Coast, leaving a trail of breadcrumbs. And it's been hugely damaging to my family. And many of them are very old. They're dying off now. And there's really not going to be much left, which that's where this idea of the nuclear family, I think, is a major falsehood. If you think the nuclear family is going to work, I think you're kind of mistaken there. You need that village. You need that group of people. And people are irreplaceable. If you think you could just form new relationships, and that's going to create something that easily, it's not. It takes many, many years. And this idea that if someone behaves poorly or is a difficult person or selfish or these kind of things, and then we just kind of disconnect from them, I think that's a major mistake. We're all on this path of growth within a larger community. If you were cohesive, maybe you could have some pressures applied to people for them to become more self-aware and things like that. We're not talking about more extreme examples of people who are physically abusive. That becomes a way different topic. But I can tell you from firsthand experience, the destruction of families is something that's gone on over the course of many, many decades or even over a century, probably for many of you out there, that leads to being isolated and leads to a lack of real community. And we have a furthering of that, especially within kind of the neighborhood structures here in California. It's a complete isolation. People are not friendly, believe me. And you're out here on your own, and that's going to lead to a lot of mental health issues. So that's probably not really relatable to what we're going to be discussing today in the videos, but that's what's been going on with me and what I've been noticing, and it's a topic I'm going to be addressing. So we're going to go ahead and get into these videos and see what we got today. I think we're doing something on censorship, and it sounds pretty bad. Let's see what it's about.
All right. Here we go.
Yeah, can't hear a damn thing, so start that over.
Sucks because some of them are so.
Right, and then it'll be blasting us. Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah.
Yeah, because okay, now it's at full volume.
Let's see what happens.
The United Kingdom has admitted that they'll start arresting people for social media posts in the name of democracy and to protect freedom of speech. Don't believe me? I don't care. I have proof. Let's watch the video together.
So if you retweet that, then you're republishing that, and then potentially you're committing that offence. The offence of incitement to racial hatred involves publishing or distributing material which is insulting or abusive, which is intended to or likely to start racial hatred. So if you retweet that, then you're republishing that, and then potentially you're committing that offence. And we do have dedicated police officers who are scouring social media. Their job is to look for this material and then follow up with identification arrests and so forth.
Whether you're in this country committing crimes on the streets or committing crimes from further afield online, we will come after you. Being a keyboard warrior does not make you safe from the law.
Well, extremely concerning. Absolutely concerning. And this is my problem with the hate speech thing. Hate speech is speech and should be protected under the First Amendment, at least in the United States. The parliamentary system in the UK is different, but that is extremely concerning, guys. And sort of to quote, I don't know his first name, I think his last name is Bryant, the civil rights attorney channel on YouTube. Freedom is scary. You have to allow people to speak their minds, kind of regardless of what you think of the message or what the dangers you think of that message are, that people may take this to heart and then, become physically violent. And the laws should start at that point. Once you're across that line, yes, that's when intervention needs to take place, law enforcement, forceful intervention. That is super frightening. We're getting into the thought police area for sure. This is very Orwellian. You got to fight back against it, guys. You cannot allow it. All of you people have fallen for this idea that safety is the important matter, are really treading on very dangerous territory. Safety is not the most important thing there is, because safety is an illusion. And I think I'm paraphrasing here, but the one quote that I really like the most is from Ben Franklin, who said something to the effect of, those who are willing to forego basic freedoms in the pursuit of safety deserve neither. And yeah, that's a very true statement. And becoming soft, becoming scared, becoming willing to sacrifice your freedoms for safety because of whatever you're fearful of. Maybe you're afraid for your children, you're afraid for your own personal safety, you're afraid for whatever it is. You're making terrible mistakes. That is a terrible mistake in a world I don't want to live in. And when I was a kid, the Ku Klux Klan would rally, they would walk the streets, and we allowed it because it was protected under free speech. We didn't agree with it. We didn't like the message. It was an ugly message. But we allowed it because we understood the importance. And somehow, through all of this strange cultural shifts and the social media, it seems like social media definitely played a part in this. We had all these people weigh in and said, oh, we need to protect people from hate speech. We've allowed ourselves to go down this very extremely dangerous path. It's extremely dangerous. Concerns me a great deal. I don't know how many people out there agree with me. I think there's a good subset of the population, very, very concerning to me, that would agree with this idea that we need to not allow people to speak their minds. If there's any hate involved, or racism or bigotry, then we can't allow them to speak their minds. That is very dangerous idea, guys. Terrible idea. And so we're live this whole time, right?
Oh,
we're
yeah.
TikTok live right now?
Live
Yeah.
on everything.
Okay.
So far, no comments.
That's fine.
We got 10 people in here.
Okay, good.
And
Yeah.
then I put a comment. I put a comment from my account. See full stream on YouTube.
Good.
Kick,
Yeah.
And Twitch. And then I pinned it.
Okay, cool.
So it's at the
Yeah.
top,
Yeah.
Okay. Next one. Switch scenes. Switch scenes. There we go.
The riots in England have got so bad that the UK's second largest news network had a segment this morning where they discussed the idea of banning social media during the unrest. So here's what's going on. 6,000 riot police have been drafted to roughly 35 cities today as they braced for the 8th day of chaos. Multiple countries now put travel warnings on their citizens visiting the UK, including Thailand, Nigeria, Australia, Malaysia, India, and Indonesia. Members of the British Parliament have been told to consider not coming in and to work from home. The first group of people arrested for being involved in the riots appeared in court yesterday. The oldest was almost 70, while the youngest was only 14 years old. 100 people out of the 400 so far arrested have now officially been charged, and plans for extra prison spaces have now been accelerated. The director of public prosecutions warned influencers not just in the UK but around the world, if anyone contributes or stokes the violence online, his teams will go as far as to consider extraditing them to the UK to face criminal charges if necessary. Workplaces have been shutting down or warning employees to stay at home after police caught wind of potential attacks being plotted on 39 premises that assist immigrants, refugees, or asylum seekers. And as for the shutting down of social media, well, that idea was presented this morning on ITV's Good Morning Britain, with one side arguing the spread of misinformation on social media is fueling this violence, so safety has to be put first and shutting it down for a few days could be necessary. While the other side argued that you can't deal with this by shutting down conversation and free speech, and if we did do so, that we would be following the likes of China, Russia, and North Korea who implement these measures. So the question is, what do you guys think?
Yeah, again, freedom is scary. Deal with it. You're going to end up going down some really bad roads here. But we've got some problems ahead. I will say that this kind of goes a little bit hand in hand with what I was saying earlier about the scams when I opened this episode. The AI is getting really scary. So let's come up with a really extreme hypothetical right now. What if someone releases a video that's AI generated that's extremely convincing of something similar to a George Floyd killing. And then that results in major riots and people up in arms around things, right? It's a rather far-fetched idea at the moment, because you would hope that people would fact check that and go, okay, where's the deceased person? What is the actual evidence that a person died and died in this manner? And what is the, vetting of the sources of information and verification of the information, things like that. Problem is that the majority of the population out here has become so emotionally based, and people are not critical thinkers and applying, logic to the way they approach this stuff. We do have some dangers involved here, and I don't know what the best answer to that is as we reach a higher and higher level of potential to manipulate reality for those folks who are, on the screen taking in information and taking it as accurate information. That is concerning, and that's where I think you're going to start to see the arguments from these government entities, and possibly even, I think very likely from the streaming channels themselves and the large corporations that are controlling information, that are then going to be able to rely on these arguments. And I think we're going to be going into some very dangerous territory. It's going to be easy to justify censorship and just calling things misinformation, right? I can just call anything misinformation at some point. I think that's really frightening, and it's partly a result of this technological advancement that we're dealing with. The AI, like I mentioned in the opener, the AI is getting really, really concerning, and the efforts involved are massive. As I said, actual companies, corporations are hiring actors using, AI technology, scripting, everything to try and scam U.S. citizens. But what about foreign, nation states that want to destabilize a democratic country by launching these type of campaigns that do involve misinformation at a higher and higher degree? And now, we have a country like the UK maybe trying to defend themselves from that, and now they're looking at options, and they're saying, well, maybe we do need to restrict social media or shut social media down during these time periods. I think that's very dangerous. But the reason I'm playing a little bit of devil's advocate, because I'm 100% for freedom of speech, but I can hypothetically in my mind go to places where you start to question, like, okay, how do we address that? If this gets to the point where when you're watching your screen, it seems as real as possible, right? Everything seems very, very real. And then you have behind-the-scenes efforts, including actors willing to FaceTime. And, I'm concerned about when AI reaches a point where a person using FaceTime is able to have an AI facelift, right, during a live FaceTime session. Like, I'm wondering how these companies, how FaceTime's going to address that, how Zoom's going to address that, Google Meets and everything. Hopefully they will have ways of addressing that. But yeah, that's a concerning circumstance. How do you manage that then when you have a population? This is the real crux of the matter, guys. If you have a population that's very educated, very logical, very meticulous in their processing and intaking of information, then I think this becomes far less of a risk. People will become more level-headed, more patient, more willing to say, wait, let's see what the true facts are. Let's get hard evidence one way or another, corroborated, validated evidence, and decide how we're going to act from there. That would be a different world, but we don't live in that world. We live in a world where people just fly off and take things as fact when they don't really know. We have so many people say they know what's going on around so many issues, especially when we talk about politics and things like that, when they don't know. People claim to know what the truth is when the evidence isn't really concrete enough to say we've reached an irrefutable conclusion. And that's the concern, guys. So I don't have an answer to that. I 100% disagree with censorship. Definitely do not like the idea of shutting down social media, or restricting it. But that maybe here's something that just popped in my head while I'm saying that. We may have to find other ways of communicating and ways of not just being stuck with these technological platforms that we've allowed to run everything. That's That's something that is a real concern. You know, maybe we need to go back to some older tech. I'm not sure. Different ways of direct broadcasting that don't involve. I don't even know if that'll work. You know, the tech's become so evolved. I'm not even sure. You know, radio waves, maybe. You know, I'm sure can be manipulated. Or, you know, if you go back to War of the Worlds. Who was the guy who did War of the Worlds? You remember that? That was kind of a situation where people went into mass hysteria because they had, you know, it was an entertainment series about an alien invasion, and it was done on the radio, and people freaked out, you know, and thought the aliens were really here. And there was no corroborating evidence to that, but they just heard it on, you know, on a radio station channel where it sounded very convincing, and people lost their minds. And that's kind of what we're dealing with. So I'm going to say right up front, I don't know what the answer to this is. I know that I lean towards freedom 100%. I'm all for freedom of speech. I do not like the idea of censorship whatsoever. When we talk about like racist topics and we can't allow people to say hate speech, I fully disagree with that. But when we start talking about manipulating reality, and we've got AI involved and true, like real sophisticated misinformation, I don't know what the answer to that is, guys. And we're going to have to start talking about it and trying to brainstorm and figure out how you manage that, because that is a real concern. So I'm just going to say right now, I don't know what the answer is.
I'm getting closer to figuring this shit out.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Okay. Oh, did we just do this one?
A UK police commissioner is warning people in America, do not post things that, you know, the police commissioner doesn't like, because he will extradite
Good
you,
luck with
he will
that.
jail you, he will come after you. Now, obviously, this
That's
is
funny.
quite an astonishing thing for a UK police commissioner to talk about American citizens. No one in the UK, police chiefs, even the King,
Yeah, they
Prime
don't have
Minister,
jurisdiction
it
here.
doesn't matter who you are, no one in the UK has power over American citizens, and vice versa. There's no one in America that has power over any UK citizen. So I think this police commissioner needs to check the rule book, he needs to check his laws before stating rubbish like this. There's nothing that he or anyone in the police can do about Bob in Missouri talking about the riots. There's literally nothing you can do, mate. This is basically what he said. So we will throw the full force of the law at people, and whether you're in this country committing crimes on the streets or commenting crimes from further afield online, like America, we will come after you. That is the Metropolitan Police Commissioner, Sir Mark Rowley. He's a sir as well. Of course he is. But don't worry, America, we're not coming for you.
Wow. So I'm really out of the loop, guys. I've been traveling, dealing with a lot of personal family stuff, focused on the business. I am not up on world events. I honestly don't even know what the riots are about in the UK. But if they were trying to censor me here in the US, I could understand maybe going out in the streets and saying enough is enough. That's a wild statement to make. Yeah, you're going to come after me. Good luck with that. I actually want to test that. I think we should get some people. I'm willing to throw some posts out there. What do I need to post about that's the no-no? You know what I mean? What am I not allowed to say so I can say it? And let's see what we can do about this guy, and test that theory right there. I'm definitely your huckleberry when it comes to that. You want to impinge on my free speech in the U.S. in a foreign land? That's. Wow. Sounds like a bully to me. A lot of bullies in this world. That's what I'm seeing. A lot of bullies, which actually brings me to something I want to discuss. I maybe shouldn't put it in this segment here, but I've been dealing with a channel on Instagram that's pretty mind-blowing. They're bullies, and they're almost all women bullies, which is very interesting. Well, I'll talk about that a little bit later. But I'm just saying, I see a lot of bullies out there. This guy sounds like one, and I guess bullies feel justified in their behavior. I have an opinion about what's going on. Opinion stuff versus the misinformation, sophisticated misinformation stuff, I see differently. I see the very dangerous aspects of both of them. The dangerous aspect I see about opinions, including hateful opinions, is that I think restricting them is extremely slippery slope. I don't think there's a way to not walk yourself into subjugation and totalitarianism when you start to say there's ideas and concepts that we are okay with you communicating and some that we're not. That I think is too slippery, icy slippery of a slope to impinge upon, and therefore free speech should be unfettered. When it comes to the sophisticated misinformation of AI and whatever's, coming next, which is coming quickly, that is the one where I really don't know how to address it, because it's a bit of a different problem. Someone tells me I can't speak my mind. How am I going to address that? I'm the kind of person, we reach a point where I will face my death over that. And I think that's easy to say that's sitting here. But we reach a point, there are people, and I know some people too, who we will not allow freedom to go to such a place that we are now fully subjugated. I won't live in that world. And that's what true conviction is. Are you willing to make the ultimate sacrifice? And I think most people aren't willing, and that's why governments are able to get away with some of the things they get away with. If more people were willing to make serious and very large sacrifices in the name of ideals like freedom of speech, then you would find that this world would be a different place. But people are scared, and I don't blame them for being scared, but fear is a good way to get yourself, what do we got? We're getting a weird software issue?
Disconnected and reconnected.
Oh, okay. All right.
This one is a real-time arrest on an old guy.
Okay. See it?
Very nice.
Okay, so,
What do you mean I can't have any alcohol?
okay, well I'll tell you. Okay, the time's 20 to 3, 14:40. I'm arresting you on suspicion of improper use of the Electronic Communications Network.
What?
127 Communications Act, okay? So you do not have to say anything that may harm your defence if you don't mention one question subject to later rely on court. Anything you do say may be given evidence. Do you understand that?
So I'm actually being
You're
arrested?
going to be arrested, okay?
Right,
So you
and-
go to the police station.
Right.
Okay, this is in relation to some comments that you've made on a Facebook page. Okay?
Oh, really? Oh, it's a Facebook crime, is it?
Okay.
Right.
So we need to ask you some questions about that.
Right.
Have you got anything in your pockets?
Wow. Yeah, it's
I've
concerning.
got my keys. No, I suppose I think keys.
Are they in his house?
Anyone who's been arrested, we can search them under Section 32 Policing and Netherlands Act.
Right.
That's for dangerous items.
You said I was going to be arrested under some what information? I'm going to be
We've had
arrested for
reports that
posting on
you've made
Facebook.
some comments that are offensive, obscene, and people have made a complaint about that, and it's
Can you tell me what this comment was?
Okay, well we'll do that when we interview.
All right. And so, what am I going to be locked up for the night, or?
Well, hopefully not.
Right. Do I need to
Unless
take my
you bill us.
medications with me?
Yes, we will look at taking all of those.
When do you need to take them?
Well, I've got pain medications. I've got sleeping medication. I've got anxiety medications, which I might take one of those in a bit.
Okay.
You know.
Well, if we take everything
Right.
else, then you've got everything there, haven't you?
And then
Okay.
we've got a nurse up there. They'll be able to.
Okay.
They'll be able to come and see you, and then once you've been there, they can assess whether or not medication can be issued. All right. So what we're going to do is, if you want to pop yourself up, we're just going to
You
search.
need the glasses
Search you.
to come with you.
My glasses.
Yeah. Do you want to take them with you?
Why?
First of all,
Well.
I'm going to seize this, okay, as evidence.
Well.
So it's.
Well, I want to make a point here. Yeah, that's extremely concerning, and something that reaches a place of where, things like that, I start to say, well, what are the alternatives? Like, how do you fight back against that? Well, we need everyone to mobilize, but at some point, some people have to, some people may just have to put their, feet in the sand and say, no, I'm not budging on that. You're not coming to my house, and I might go to a bad place on that. There's a point at which you're going to restrict my freedom of speech. I think that's one of the reason here in the U.S. It's the First Amendment, right? The First Amendment, the most important right for a free society, and you're impinging upon that. And then you see what the Second Amendment is, right? The Second Amendment is how you enforce your ability to maintain your First Amendment rights. So I might have to go into Second Amendment mode at that point. I'm not trying to encourage anyone to be violent, but there's a point in which I would not stand for that. That's insanity that we're allowing government to reach this point. But the point I want to make is that for me it brings up a very strong feeling, as you can see by my response. I have such a deep conviction around the ability to speak your mind, regardless of what it is, that I have a very strong reaction to that, and I am willing to possibly, depending on circumstances, face death. So that's how strong that reaction is. But now I want to point out to you, what if that AI, now I don't believe that video is fake, but let's say that video were faked. Let's say that whole thing was either an AI or, fake, actors or whatnot, and people get very riled up about this. That's why you need to have kind of the backup fact checks, the arrest records, the corroborating witnesses, all that's there. I'm not saying I believe that to be a fake video there, but we're headed into a world where those videos like that can fully be faked. We're going to be seeing more and more of that, and that's my concern, because someone like me, I have a very strong reaction to that. I'm not okay with impinging upon people's free speech. This man made comments on Facebook, and the result is that we feel it's, as a government, I mean, when I say we, I mean, in this case, the UK government feels that it is appropriate to take someone's freedom from them and enforce it violently. That's a violent enforcement right there. That is appropriate is mind-boggling to me to the nth degree. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting. I think I don't know what it's like in the UK. I wonder how many people feel as strongly as many of my friends do here in the US. There are people here that were in the armed services, and also people who are fighters, and also a lot of people I know who would, there's no way it's going to come to a shootout at that point. That's wild to me. I don't even know, how to respond to that. But I wanted to bring in the point about the, faking videos and how dangerous that's going to be, because then you do have to be really careful. And the truth is, I don't know what's going on there, so I'm also going to say I'm unsure of everything that took place. So I don't want to say I know what's going on, but this UK thing sounds very concerning. Really sounds like bad news. And if that ideology were to spread here to the United States, and we began to see, federal laws around what we can and can't say on social media, I would be very concerned of the outcomes. And I think here you can see what's going on politically here. I think there are people willing, possibly far more willing than in the UK, to be violent over something like that. And now we find ourselves in a civil war of some sort. I think, I don't want to be in that situation. We need to not allow our First Amendment rights to be infringed upon. It is too dangerous. It is a fundamental right, and there are people here, I do believe, who will fight over that. So, I don't know. That's very concerning, guys. Very concerning.
All right. Okay. Last one. This one's a little long. Well, it's 4 minutes, but
Okay.
I'm not sure we need all the information, but
Yeah, all right. We can stop.
so this guy gets basically he's from the UK. His account gets hacked, and the videos magically disappear. Only the ones that they don't like.
That they don't like, right? Of course. Yeah.
The UK's finished. We are now living in a police state, nanny state. Now, some of you will have been following me over the last few days, because I've been talking about what's been going on in the UK with a quite level-headed view on things. I've not been wrapped up in conspiracy, I've not been jumping on bandwagons, I've not been jumping on hate or racism. I've spoken about my genuine concerns as a citizen, as a dad, and as somebody that has got probably the majority of his best friends who are of the Asian community, Muslim, Sikh and Hindu. Now, I had a few videos that really went viral. I think one did about 1 million views in 24, 48 hours. Anyway, last night I got a notification on email from TikTok saying, you've changed your username. I was like, no, I haven't. So I went in, and lo and behold, my username had changed. Go and have a look now. It's still the same as they've changed it to. Now, in this email, it showed me that I changed my username from Spain on an iPhone 13. I went back into my account. I've had to change my passwords. And lo and behold, it doesn't say Nick Rose at the top of this account anymore. It says user, whatever, 18928. So I'm thinking, shit, I've been hacked. Anyway, I go into the safety side of it, and it says nothing unusual has happened here in the last 7 days. I then go and look at my videos. Every video that I've made talking about my concerns about what's happening in the UK, as a level-headed person, have disappeared. Now, this has happened a couple of times with the Jay Slater videos. No warnings, no breach of anything. They've just disappeared out of existence as if they were never there. Now, the funny thing is, the likes that I got from those videos and the extra followers, I still have them. Now, this is very odd, because like I've said, there have been some terribly inflammatory things that I've seen on here, and yes, misinformation spreading. But I don't think I've been responsible for any of that, and if I had been, I'd have expected a breach of community guidelines or some sort of warning, maybe a strike on a video that you can then appeal. Nothing. Go and have a look at my account. So what I'm saying to you is, go and follow me on the other socials. I'm on Twitter and YouTube. But this is now becoming a non-free speech app. And maybe it's coming from powers that be, like the UK government. So yes, we are in very, very bad times. The only place you can see both sides of a story now is on X. I mean, God, even YouTube is...
Gotta get on it. I gotta focus on X
Go
more.
and have a look at them. Go onto the YouTube, and all of those videos that I'm talking about, the 6 or 7 that have disappeared into thin air like they never existed, are all on there. And they're all on my X account. But no, TikTok haven't allowed them. And there's another thing. Every single person that I was following has gone down to 0. I've had to restart following people. So, tell me I'm being paranoid. This is looking a little bit ominous. Yeah, I think the UK's cooked. I think the violence is terrible. I think the people have had enough. I think there'll be retaliations from the other sides. This isn't going anywhere other than out of control. The global economy's crashing, crypto's crashing. There's an emergency Fed meeting, and 2-tier Keir is having some Cobra meeting. And I guarantee you this video isn't going to get any views. So if you are watching this, share the fuck out of it, screen record it, because I'm going to keep trying to give my level-headed opinion about what things are saying. And I've never been one for conspiracy theories, but people have been telling me for ages, oh yeah, every account with a few 100,000 followers is being checked out, and as soon as the authorities say, pull the plug, that's what happens. Anyway, go and have a look at my username.
Well, it's funny what he said at the end there. I can't verify everything he's saying. That's always my problem with this, right? I have no background for what he's saying there. But I certainly see very clearly the impingement on freedom of speech happening on streaming platforms and social media. There's definitely things you cannot say. And it does seem like TikTok's become one of the most severe in that regard ever since. I really think that had to do with threats and pressure from different governments, including U.S. state governments, possibly, and federally, because they were talking about banning TikTok. And you noticed a change when that happened. It's interesting that, you know, I'm not following all this. I'm not following what Elon Musk is doing. I'm not following any of this, guys. I'm busy all the time. My days aren't spent on really staying completely up on what the current events are within this area. So that's I can't really speak on this stuff effectively and with the knowledge of and say I know what's going on. I don't, but I'm very concerned about free speech. I see the effects that are happening. I see the restrictions. I see this movement around hate speech specifically. I've always been against that. I don't believe it works. I don't believe it's effective, but I also do not believe that governments are restricting hate speech because they're concerned about hate speech as much as they are about expanding their own powers. And that is what I'm concerned about. I think that when you restrict people from speaking their minds, you have far less capability to possibly change their minds, right? I brought him up before, and I forget his name now, but the black man who's been able to get Ku Klux Klan members to leave the KKK did that through open dialogue and did that through listening to what they had to say and then pointing out inconsistencies in their logic and very calmly, interacting with them and posing, some ideas for them to consider. And because they felt heard, because they didn't feel censored, because they didn't feel, a restrictive judgment from that man, they were willing to listen to his ideas, and then eventually came around and realized that the ideology they had was flawed, full of inconsistencies, and they weren't behind it anymore. So restricting speech is actually far more harmful, does not help eradicate these ideas. If anything, I think it's going to harden them, and you're going to have people who are far more secretive about what they believe, and possibly even far more militant. So I definitely see a lot of problems with this. I will also say that the more followers you have, the more scrutiny you definitely have, because now the more power you have. So I know we had a couple of channels that were deleted. We didn't have a ton of followers or anything like that. But when we had done a couple of these commercials, these ads we did, video ads for Psychedelics, and we put it on that channel, that led to deletion of the entire channel without warning. And then I started posting those videos that I knew now were touchy, sensitive videos that could lead to the loss of a channel. I posted them on, YouTube channels and things like that that didn't have any followers really because they're brand new, and then linked them to ads, and I haven't had any problems because we got no followers on there. So 100%, if you have a lot of followers, you have followership, and you're saying things that don't align with the accepted scripting out there, then you find yourself with real problems. And that's extremely concerning, guys. I can't say enough how concerned I am about it, and that we have to support something like X. I haven't done enough with that, but I know, I keep hearing this reinforcement that Elon Musk is really pro free speech. So I think we really need to support that. I'm just so busy, but I do need to get on there more. Most of my marketing is happening on Meta, so that's where I spend a lot of my time, but I think I'm going to really need to make a concerted effort, get over there to X and start supporting them. I do have a verified account over there, and I am actually on the subscription model, so I am paying him something. So I feel good about that every time I hear that they're supporting free speech over there. So yeah, guys, for those of you who think we need to consider safety when we're speaking words from our mouths, I think you need to very carefully reconsider that perspective, because we're going to end up in a global police state, and it's going to be Orwellian, and we're going to have cameras in our houses watching us and social credit point scores, and very, very concerning things. And I think you'll start to see people disappearing. Honestly, that's what's going to happen. People will start to disappear that say things that are outside of the party lines. Very concerning.
Okay, go ahead and close out.
All right, guys, that is the episode there. I'm not a fan of censorship. I cannot stand it. If there's anything that bothers me more, I think, than anything, there's really nothing that really bothers me more than censorship. This idea that you can decide for me what I can and can say, regardless of whether it's hateful towards any group, regardless if it's ignorant, regardless if it's flat out wrong. I think that is such a dangerous, slippery slope. And yeah, I am against it. But I also, posed some devil's advocate stuff there because I am seeing the power of these scams. And so, with the ability to fake videos to such a degree that they seem absolutely real, that is a concern. I think that is a very real problem there that could, result in serious implications for the stability of a country. And I'm definitely seeing large-scale efforts from foreign nation states like China that are literally having whole companies diverting their efforts and attention to scamming individuals in the U.S., to U.S. citizens. So really something to consider. What a strange time we're in, what a difficult time we are in to manage it. But when it comes to opinions, I don't see opinions as anywhere near the same thing as like falsified videos, AI, and those things that manipulate reality. Someone's opinion is their opinion, and that should be sacred. I don't care what it says. I don't care if they're saying they hate some racial group or cultural group or religious group. It doesn't matter, guys. That idea that we need to protect people's safety at the expense of liberty is especially the First Amendment. The First Amendment of the freedom of speech, the idea of freedom of speech is to me a sacred idea. And it is so because I think it is the most fundamental aspect of our freedom. You can find yourself in a situation, like the Spanish Inquest, and having people not allowed to speak their religious views, not allowed. Well, how do you decide what is correct speech and what isn't? Once you restrict any type of speech, it can be applied to other types of speech with justifications that, who knows, for whatever reason we decide that it's too dangerous for someone to, talk about their Muslim ideology because of the terrorist attacks that have originated from those areas of the country. Then what? This can become such a slippery slope. It can go to such dangerous places, and it can lead to genocide and all the problems that we're supposedly trying to avoid through restricting this hate speech. It is the wrong way to go, guys. Wrong way to go. Anyway, that's it for this one. So we're going to let it go there, and we're going to be doing some other stuff on the next episode, but I don't think we have time today. Where are we at on time? We got about 30 minutes.
Sweet.